Hello, this is Scott. It's been a while since I've made a video, and today I'm going to make a video and I'm choosing between my Fuji and my Lumix cameras. Now, I know this is type of thing, and I don't necessarily like these videos the way some people do them, because they kind of sit there and try to say that one camera is superior over the other, and I don't feel that. One, let me be clear as to the why. My wife got breast cancer about a year ago, and she's been going through chemo and everything, and that cost a lot of money. That has forced me to make a decision, because I had my Fuji system and I had my Panasonic system, and although neither one is hugely expansive, I really couldn't afford to keep both. So I had to make a very hard decision on which one to keep. What I'm really sad to say is that we were hoping after her surgery that would kind of be the end, but sadly she got really sick after the surgery. And 2 weeks later, I had to bring her to the hospital. She was like on death's door, and it took her a while to figure it out. She spent 4 weeks in the hospital, and they discovered that the breast cancer had moved into her bone marrow, which is incurable. So not only do I not get my wife fixed, so to speak, but we're now hoping to be able to sustain a quality of life while we can. So if you would like to help, she has a GoFundMe campaign, which I have been humbled by the fact that so many of her friends have donated to it, and it truly is something to be thankful for. But when we're talking this amount of money, it doesn't get you all the way there. So system had to go, and sadly I chose to sell my Fuji, and that's what this video is really about, is to talk to you about why I chose one over the other, and be assured that if I didn't have to, I wouldn't have been choosing one over the other, because I like both systems for very different reasons, and really look forward in my dotage to keeping both of them. So without further ado, let's get into it. Basically, talking about Fuji, the main thing is Fuji has a size advantage, and we can see that if we go ahead and put this down. I'm going to put down lenses here. Let's see if I got the right ones here. This is okay. Here's one of the things I got into is with Fuji, because it's a smaller sensor, I wanted to keep a certain level of bokeh, and because of that I very much got into primes, and I fell in love with these little guys. To me, this is kind of a Leica-esque in that they're very small and very capable little primes of f2, and f2 on the Fuji is still a respectable depth of field. And so here I have the 23, the 35, and the 50. Now, as you can see, they're different sizes. They have different filters, threads, and then here I have my Lumix lenses. This one is a 35, which would be the best match to the 23. This one here is an 85, which would be best match to the 50. A 75 would have been a better match. And to the 35, here is a 50. So these are basically equivalents. As you can see, the Fuji lenses are so much smaller. They are lighter, but it's one of those things that they're not super lighter. You know, if I was to sit there and go ahead and look at like the 35, 50, and the 50, size-wise, it seems substantial, and it kind of is. But weight-wise, I don't feel it on an individual basis that it is as significant. Though, if you were to put all of these in a bag versus these little bag in a bag, obviously it's going to stand out more. Especially if, you know, here, well, look at them. It's like, here's the little bundle of the my adorable Fuji little gems. Hopefully my focus is coming in here. And then here are the Lumix ones. Now it's important to notice that you see these are different sizes, these are the same size. This is one of the things that I actually like about the Lumix lenses. Panasonic made a decision because of video, and not everyone is into video, but I kind of like it from a photography point of view too, to make these all dimensionally similar. One, if you're putting them on a gimbal, it makes it easier to balance it, because all the lenses are so similar. If you're using matte boxes and things, each one is occupying the same space, so it makes it better. So from that point of view, the fact that these are the same size is great. On top of that, they all share the same filter size, and oddly enough, my big 100 to 300 100 to 400 Sigma for the L mount also shares the same filter size, and it's the same filter size as the 20 to 60 that is sitting on my camera. And to me, that is just a huge convenience factor. I really like it. Now, one can make up for that, because basically what I did is I got step-up rings, and I changed all of my Fuji lenses, and I put these on, and I forget what the size is. I think it's 58. Can't read it without my glasses. Now my F2 Fujis with the rings and the new caps are the same filter size as the 18 to 55, and also the 50 to 230, which I am also an odd fan of. So that can be compensated for. Now, again, on that video vein, one of the other things that Panasonic did with their lenses and their bodies is they have really great linear focusing, which is not to say that Fuji does not also have linear focusing. Fuji has linear focusing, and I did a video on it, and it's good for muscle memory if you're doing manual focusing, but it's not precise. So if I put markings on a lens and I move it and go back and forth, it will drift. The Lumix lenses stay dead on, and if that was not enough to make that for someone who's doing video a great feature, they also in camera you can actually set how many degrees the linear focusing throw is. So you can customize it, and I actually like that for a lot of times. I leave it in linear focusing when I'm doing photography, because I do photography probably even more than I do video, but I like having the ability to use it in both. So that's like a really plus. I really like my Lumix lenses. I like how they were designed. I like the thinking that went into that. On the other side, again, I truly love these little Fujis. To me, they're little gems. And in fact, I was going to hang on to these even though I decided to go with the Panasonic, because I had hopes into getting into the Fuji system later. The fact that now we're into a second round of costs and everything, and just trying to survive now that my wife will be on disability, I have to let these guys go too. So these are fantastic lenses. I love the little f2 lenses. So if you are into Fuji, don't overlook these. I know a lot of people, they want to chase after the 1.1s, the 1.0s, the 1.4s, and 1.2s. They're nice, but they're not to die for. In particular, I love the 23mm because it actually has very little breathing. Can't say for the 35 f2 from Fuji. It's not a good performer in that respect. I think the 50 was pretty good, but I haven't used it much for video. But definitely got a lot of use out of that 23. Really love that 23 for video. All of the Panasonic lenses are tried to be optimized for video, so they tried to reduce breathing as much as they could. And keep the cost of the lenses down, because obviously there is a factor in there, and that's why cinema lenses are so expensive and special breed of lenses in their own. So some might sit there and say, oh, these little f2 primes are way better than the f1.8s from Lumix because they're so small, and you'd be right. And others will sit there and look at the features that I see in these lenses, and because you're into video and whatever, you may really appreciate them. So that was kind of one of the criteria. But believe me, it's not just one criteria that made me decide on one or the other. Excuse me. So on lenses, for me, I really like the Panasonics. In fact, I don't have a match for this in my Fuji, but this is a 24, and again, the 24 is the same size and feel and roughly similar weights as the others. So that's cool. Put that aside. You can think whatever you want on that. The next thing is, I've been doing photography for a very long time, and one of the other things I like to do is I have a lot of leftover film and slides, and some of them I think are good enough that I would like to preserve them and do them digitally and copy them. And that's where this comes in. This is a Legacy Contax or Yashica bellows unit, and this is used. This has a slide copy attachment on the front, and so you point your flash in there, put your slide or film in here, you focus it, adapter for the camera here, and I can copy slides, which is like a great feature. Now the problem is you can use this with APS-C, but it's been designed for full frame. So first you would have to use a different lens. I think you would need like a 75mm, so you'd have to get like maybe an enlarging lens or something, and then you literally would have to give it more extension to actually be able to do APS-C on one of these bellows units, and that's a lot of fiddling. Essentially they were designed for full frame, so full frame works like a charm. So that's another reason that I decided I wanted to keep my full frame camera, because I could continue to use my bellows units, which I also use them for some macro work. So there we go. There's like two things. Again, minor, but it's the total function, and that's why I said everybody has to make their own decision as to what's the best feature list for them. Now the other thing is, let me put this up just a little bit higher, is I've gotten into light painting, and this is a Panasonic has a great feature for light painting, I believe, if I'm correct, and people can correct me down below. I believe Olympus came up with this first, and I believe it's called Live View or Live Composite, something like that. And essentially what you can do, and best way I can explain is with an example. Say you want to go take a picture of a fireworks display, but it's going to be over the bay, and you wanted to get the bridge in it, with the bridge being lit up and the lights of the city reflecting in the water, and then you want to get that firework up in the sky. Well, traditionally with a regular camera, and back in the film cameras, what you'd do is put in B and you'd open up that shutter and it would keep on exposing for as long as that's open. What Live Composite does is you can go in, set your exposure, take your initial picture, and it basically burns in that first exposure. And then what it does, so now we have our bridge and the lights and the city lights all perfectly exposed. Now what we have to do is, H of my nose, now you can wait for that fireworks display, and when that firework goes off and it's perfect, you can look at it on the screen, you can see the picture developing, and right when it's just the way you want it, or you got as many bursts as you want, you can stop the exposure. And it doesn't build on the first exposure. All it does is build the exposure on new light that's hitting it, essentially. So it exposes for the fireworks and etc. Same thing if you're doing like star trails, you can have it pointing up there and you can just open it up and it'll keep on exposing and doing those light trails, and then when you get exactly what you want, you can turn it off and it doesn't overexpose. You know, like if there's lights in the background, you know, a city way off in the distance, or something that's also part of it, or if you're doing the typical light painting thing, as you sit there and add light in different spots, it adds that illumination, but it does not then build on top of it. I will do a video on it, but it's an absolutely fantastic feature. It is not in every camera, and to my knowledge it is not even in the new Fujis. And because I've gotten into light painting, and again I'll show some pictures here, that's one of the features that I want to have in my camera. So that's another reason, you know, something that is special about the Lumix to me, and why I chose it in that terrible decision of what I had to let go. Now again, everybody's different. Now when we talk about things, let me talk about some of the negatives. I think just about every camera nowadays, when it comes to regular single shot photography, does a good job of autofocus. You know, you can sit there and split hairs and whatever and go, ah, this one's better, whatever, and perhaps. But for the most part, when it comes to single shot, I think all cameras are pretty good nowadays. The challenge is AFC, or continuous autofocus, and that is true of video and of single shot photography. So like in sports, you got somebody running with a football and you're trying to track that person and taking shots, you want them all to be in focus. I'll be the first one to admit that the Lumix camera would not be the best choice for that, because it is not as dependable as others. But let me sit there and say Fuji to date has not been the best in that either, but I think I might give Fuji the edge when it comes to that. And again, in video, the same thing. Now, the other thing is, I think Fuji is easier to set and get reasonable results, especially like in a situation like this, whereas you really need to kind of learn the Lumix Panasonic focusing system because you need to set it for the type of thing you're doing in order to avoid pulsing and stuff in the background. So I'll admittedly, even though choosing Panasonic, it is not the best at everything. So those are the basic things that kind of have motivated me to stay with the Lumix and let my Fuji go. Again, it wasn't a choice I wanted to make, it's a choice I had to make. And again, if anybody would like to help out, my wife's GoFundMe is below. If you would like to click there and give a donation, be eternally grateful. In this day and age, it's great to have a resource like that to help out, because I know it has helped a lot of other people in the past who kind of guided us to it, knowing the financial burden that we were under. So again, if you'd like to donate, definitely would appreciate it. Otherwise, Fuji people, don't be offended by this. I loved my Fuji camera. I love my Fuji X-T3. I was looking forward to this X-H2 S and other things Fuji was doing. Really liked my 70-300 and its light form factor. So again, it's not something I wanted to do, but I had to make a hard decision, and there were certain features, like I said, that the Panasonic had that I kind of got conditioned to and really liked. So without any further ado, I hope this was helpful, and I will be doing more videos. Definitely please subscribe if you can, and I'll talk to you later.